Welcome to Wealth Mavericks, the podcast where we help doctors unlock the secrets to building generational wealth. And today, we're talking about some of the most common misconceptions when it comes to tax planning. You can keep being a W-2 doctor and still save huge on taxes.
If you keep doing what you're doing, then yes, you're going to keep paying taxes or overpaying taxes.
Well, hey, welcome back to the podcast. And hi, team. We've got someone new here today. I want to welcome Megan. She is part of our leadership team here at Terra Firma. She is one of our lead coaches. And if you are a member with us or you've had a call with us, you may very well already know Megan. And so I'm very excited that she's going to be joining us moving forward for the podcast. Hi, Megan.
Hey team. Hey everyone at Terra Firma, and hello to my wonderful members. It's so great to see you guys. And I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited. I mean, I know on a future podcast, we're going to be talking about company culture and how to build an amazing company culture. And Terra Firma is, I think, the world's greatest example of building an amazing company culture. It's not been on accident. And Aaron and Megan, we're really thrilled to have both of you on the podcast, bringing real world experience from real conversations with doctors on a day-to-day basis. So thanks, Megan, for being in here.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really looking forward to just being with you all, but more so speaking to those who are a part of the Terra Firma membership and those beyond that. People who are still so curious to how can I save money on taxes? How can I make this impact in my own practice and in my own life? So I'm really looking forward to communicating that with those people and just being that vessel.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we're talking about misconceptions. You guys hear it all the time. What's the first misconception that we can help put people's minds at ease?
Megan and I were talking about this. We narrowed it down to 5. At this point, she and I have had literally hundreds of conversations each, and there are very common themes that come up on nearly every call. And so the purpose of this episode is really to say, hey, doc, you're not alone. If you listen to these things and you're thinking these things, we hear it all the time, and we want to show you why they are actually misconceptions. So the first one we hear often is, so many of our doctors that come to us are actually W-2 earners. And what they have been told is that, well, I'm a W-2, I get these taxes taken out of my check. There's nothing I can do to lower my taxes. So first, what would we say to the W-2 docs who come our way?
That's true if you keep doing what you're doing.
I was like, hashtag duh.
And unfortunately for them, a lot of times my colleagues on the tax side will be their advice, is exactly what you said. There's nothing you can do. And that is inaccurate, because the IRS communicates to us there's so many other things we can do. I mean, the IRS tax code wouldn't be over 10,000 pages if that was the answer.
Right.
It'd be a page. Nothing you can do other than be a W-2. That's it. Point. Done. Now pay your taxes, right? That's not what it is. And the IRS tax code, it's a rule book. So if you keep doing what you're doing, then yes, you're going to keep paying taxes or overpaying taxes. Now, does that mean that there are no other options? There's plenty of options, because with regards to the tax code, and we say this all the time, taxes are a symptom of a root cause or a root issue. So as a physician, when patients come to you, they come to you because they're having symptoms, right? They're not coming to your office, paying a copay and saying, hey, doc, I feel amazing.
Just wanted to let you know.
Right? That's not your position, unfortunately. Right? That'd be awesome. Now, they come to you because they're not feeling as well. And so you're going to treat their symptoms to make them a little more comfortable. But then what are you going to do? You're going to run tests, studies to figure out what is causing those symptoms. And then that's what you're going to put a plan together and fix that to eliminate the symptoms. Very basic. That's what your entire world is. Same thing with taxes. Taxes are a symptom of a root cause. What's the root cause? Assets that create income that the taxes are being paid on. Okay. So what is an example of assets? Well, you You as a physician have the expertise and the knowledge as a doctor in your specialty to generate a W-2 income that a company's willing to pay you for to meet their clients' needs. Mm-hmm. And that W-2 income is what creates the taxes. Same thing if you're a practice doctor. You have a practice, a business. You're generating income differently now. You're generating it as revenue. How you treat that revenue, what we call cash flow, that determines what could be taxed as income. Okay? So real estate, same thing. We can go down the line of different assets. That is the root cause. So if what's happening, unfortunately, a lot of my colleagues are treating everybody the same as a 1040 independent individual taxpayer. And everybody is, but they are not as well. And that's how the tax code communicates to us. So,
and that's, I think it's really important not to miss this.
Yeah.
It's okay to be that. If you want to have a job and you want to have a W-2 income and you want to do like, that's your life, no problem. We're not saying you have to do anything different.
Exactly.
Knock yourself out. There are smarter ways. I was actually thinking about this when I was working out the other day. It just occurred to me, like, and Bob, you said over 10,000 pages. I've heard it's 70,000 pages. Literally 70,000 pages of the
year. It could be more than that too, right? I mean, right. I don't know who would even know that.
Right. I mean, we'll just put it this way. It's a lot of information. Yes. It is a legal system that has been created for the U.S. citizens. Well, and others too. I mean, there's a lot around that. But my question to you, Doc, is how many of those pages has your CPA read? I mean, honestly, how many pages of the U.S. tax code has your CPA actually read? And my guess is it's not many. And that's part of why we face so much resistance from the industry, because they just haven't taken the time to read it. They haven't taken the time to dive in. And that's where, Bob, I love what you've done over your career. You're like, I'm not that smart. I've just followed the breadcrumbs that they're leaving in the tax code. As I read the tax code, I go, oh, look at how this applies here. Yeah. And you've collected those breadcrumbs and made something really amazing.
Yeah. And what's amazing though, is that because it is a legal system, to your point that you brought up, is that the tax code spills into everything. It's not just being taxed on your income, but it's estate planning, it's business, it's contractual. And so the tax code requires certain experts, just like in the medical field, to understand that particular area of the tax code. Not one of these people know the entire of the tax code. Mm-hmm. Neither do you as a doctor, right? You hone into a specialty, but you're still called a doctor. Right. But how many friends and family come to you and say, hey, I've got this weird rash, but, you're a plastic surgeon or, maybe a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Right. You're like, get cream. Right. I mean, right. But you're a doctor. You're supposed to know everything. I've seen the same thing with my family members that are attorneys or nurses. Right. Everybody wants to ask you everything. And it happens to us as well. Right. So understanding that. Now, what am I saying? We're not experts on everything, but we know enough of how the tax code's communicated to us to where we go, oh, we need to go reach out to our expert on this and say, this is how that equates to your plan, not a generalized, no, you can't do that, which is typically the answer you get.
Right.
So if you are a W-2, we are not telling you have to be anything but a W-2. There are still things you can do. It's all about how you are structured and then able to leverage more of what's in the tax code than what you're currently able to leverage now. So in our membership, we handle that for you, structuring you correctly, opening what we need to, putting the cash flow over there. It's more complex. It does take work, but we've laid it all out for you. So that's what we want you to understand. Yeah. You can keep being a W-2 doctor and still save huge on taxes.
Yeah. Erin, I do want to point on something because you did say something. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Right.
It does take work. Mm-hmm. All good things take time and energy and work to accomplish it.
Right.
Period. And that is the same thing with strategic tax planning.
Mm.
It takes work because the legal system does have breadcrumbs that you do have to pick up and dots that you do have to connect to continue to follow the legal and the legality of the system.
Right.
And
I think just to point this out too, I think people get really myopically focused in one of two directions. One of them is, this is just my plot in life. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay a lot of taxes. I'm going to be a W-2 employee for the rest of my life. And they just feel like nothing can change. The other person is the one who's like myopically focused on what I would call the minutia. They're looking at all these, well, if TikTok's still around, or, YouTube videos or whatever it might be, of these people giving what I will call is very symptom chasing advice on these platforms. And so they're like, oh, how do I pay my kids in a tax-free way? How do I pay my 1-year-old, to save on taxes? Or how do I do this? Like, stop doing that. That is bad. That is taking advantage of a system that was designed to work really nicely, but you have to follow the rules. So you have to have a team or you have to either chase the knowledge down and do it properly, or engage a team that can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you all are painting the picture really well. But one thing that I would even add to that is that this is custom to every single person. You all talked a little bit about W-2 income and a little bit about 1099 and business income. But at the end of the day, every person is different. Some people have complex situations with multiple incomes coming in from multiple angles. No matter what their situation is, there is solutions for them for tax planning. There's ways to save on taxes, and it's ways that their current team is not sharing with them. So we want to share that information with them. We want to be able to go through the discovery process and see what that looks like for their situation. But I wholeheartedly agree with you all.
Yeah. I think there's a point that I came to the realization in my study, in my research, in my knowledge base, that I was trying to get answers to questions that I had in this journey. And what I realized is that a lot of us have the expectation of the IRS of an instant gratification organization, meaning we file taxes every year. So we have to do things instantly. The IRS expects this stuff to happen instantly. And let me give you an example of what I mean. Retirement accounts, 401k plans, right? The IRS is a long game strategy, meaning their plan. They have short term, which is W-2, right? You pay withheld. It's the reason why they withhold taxes out of wages for that instant gratification. It's an area of income we earn. But 401ks, when do they earn taxes on the 401ks? Not till
20 years from now, 30
decades,
years from now.
right?
Right.
Decades, because they know they need revenue then. They know they have expenses to run a business, a government then. Okay. So the same thing when we say that tax code is written for business owners, it's the same thing, meaning that IRS plays the long game. They invest in business owners as their asset, give them the ability to save money on taxes so they can grow this business to hire taxpayers, employees. They play the long game. So they know the statistics of business success and or failure. They know those. They don't expect businesses to be profitable the first year or even to make money subsequent years. That's easy for me to say, right? I just make up words, right?
You do.
Get ready to get on calls with me. You're going to learn my language, right? That's big Latin over here.
Subsequent and sequential together, sequential. I love it.
It's that important.
Oh boy.
Well, there's no word for it.
So I think when it comes to this part of the conversation, Aaron, you brought it up, so I'm a W-2 earner. I'm not a business owner. So I've done everything I can do. And I guess my encouragement to you, doctor, is who told you that you're just a W-2 earner? So, some of us, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family of entrepreneurs. So my whole life, I've been a business owner. Started when I was a very young, at a very young age. So I didn't come to life with that block. Some of you have. And what I'd encourage you is, yes, you may be a W-2 earner right now, but what in the world is stopping you from becoming a business owner? And by business owner, I don't mean you have to have this massive payroll and all these people that are doing stuff. It's really fascinating if you've ever set up a business, there's certain forms that you fill out. And one of them is like the purpose of the business. And it's funny because like the simplest one is, this business exists for any legal reason. It's like that simple. So, I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But the bottom line is, just because you are where you're at now and doing what you're doing now does not therefore mean that you have to forever do that thing.
Yeah.
There are things that you can do to change your situation, and we would encourage you to explore those things.
And the goal for a business is to be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a requirement. So the IRS, the government says you need to be in business to try to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in that endeavor, there are certain accounting guidelines that you're able to employ and deploy to account for what your taxable income is or what your profit or loss is in a business. So again, IRS is not about instant gratification. It's about a model of longevity. Some things happen now, some things happen later. Okay. So we can't put and project our own fears, our own insecurities, our own lack of knowledge of an organization and assume that that is how they are. We don't expect that or have that with our human relationships. Why do we have that with our business relationship with the IRS? It's not fair to them, and it certainly is not fair to us because you put yourself in your own box that the IRS doesn't even put you in that box. But you do that yourself. So It is a mindset. And unfortunately, my colleagues, most of them will keep you in that box, right? No, break out of that. And that's what that's the tax code. It tells you, no, the box is unlimited. There is zero box. And the lines are designed with chalk and they fade away. And new lines are created with each law, with each administration, with each year that Congress is in. That's just the way it is. So, anyways.
Well, I feel like we could end the episode there. Break free of the box. Like, we've just given you so much information. However, we did promise 5. And so we've got 4 more misconceptions. Rein it in, boys and girl. Okay. So number 2 is, when Megan and I get on a call or some member of our team gets on a call, we do your cash flow recovery and we can tell you pretty closely how much you're overpaying in taxes and what we could help you save if you were to work with us and deploy these strategies. And oftentimes, usually, the number is very large. And so as we talk about how we do this and what's included in membership, I mean, we should start a drinking game or something. Not that I'd want to, but we could make a game of it of like, anytime someone says, well, that just sounds too good to be true. Like, maybe I get $100 every time someone says that. I would be so rich because we hear it on every call. And so I love our response to this. And it's that it seems too good to be true, but it's not. It is just purposely built for people like you. And it is the culmination of so many years of Bob and his team working with doctors to solve the pain points that they are feeling. And so, Megan, do you agree? Do you hear that all the time?
I hear this on probably every other call that I have. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And the fact that this is purpose built, I just want to hone in on that. We've been working with people, with specifically doctors, for decades. So decades of experience, decades of understanding your pain, decades of understanding what works for you, what doesn't. And that's probably why it feels so good to be true or too good to be true, is because it is literally purpose built. You're getting the almost perfect process, which nothing's perfect. So we're constantly iterating, constantly making things better, but it's almost perfect for you. And that's because all of our members are doctors, all of our members understand kind of the ins and outs of what works well for them because we've had that relationship with them. I know Bob has been doing this for years and years with really great people. So at the end of the day, it's a culmination of those conversations. It's a culmination of our love and giving that to our members. And that's what we have in front of us in membership. Bob, I would love to hear a little bit more about, your experience, because truly your experience begun this process of terra firma. We came in, later in the picture and formed this great team, and we are striving to help our members in that light. But really, this is a journey. This is a journey. It didn't start yesterday. It started decades ago. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that experience for you, Bob, and really why you feel it's purpose built.
So I think, appreciate that. I think it really comes down to how businesses ran. A business is designed to serve its clients, its customers, its community. And if a business stays the same all the time, then that means their community, their clients, and their customers are the same all the time. There is no need to change. Well, we all know that's not reality. There is an evolution of how we purchase. There's an evolution of our needs and how we, think about you yourself, Doc, 5 years ago. What were you doing 5 years ago? And what do you think you're going to do 5 years from now? That's a 10-year span. Do you think you're going to be the same from that day to the next? No, we evolve. And business is a business of evolution. A successful business that is there to serve its clients, its customers, its members should evolve. It should always strive for the ability to be better, to serve the people that they're serving. You as a physician are doing the same. Medicine changes and it evolves, and you have to do the same to make the outcome much better, the success rate much better, the effectiveness much better. And we have done the same at Terra Firma. So when we look at when I first started in 2001 and financial services today, it's night and day. I was new. I didn't know squat, right? I was 20 plus years younger. And I have experiences. My clients have experiences. And through that 2 decades plus of experiences and relationships and conversations, continued to form what we call Terra Firma membership today. So when people ask, well, how long have you been doing membership? Well, at which stage? Because that's at one point, they were just clients and I was just trying to make money and put food on the table, right? Like everybody else in the industry.
Yeah, and if I can let everyone in on a little secret, and this is really, really key, and I think you will understand this, Doc, as you're listening to this, there is a massive difference between having 20 years of experience and having 1 year of experience 20 times. And most of the people, the dirty little secret in the financial services industry is most of these people have like 6 months of experience that they repeat over and over and over and over, because this industry is designed to churn people in and out. It benefits the companies that they work for, because when that person leaves, they no longer owe commissions to that person. They retain the client. It's purpose built to extract revenue. And that's what you're experiencing. Sadly, the reason why it feels too good to be true is because the bar is so effing low in this industry that anything like what we do feels amazing. And so I think you need to understand, Doc, yes, we are purpose built for you. We created all of this for you. That's part of the reason why it feels so, too good to be true.
Yeah.
But the other part is, the bar is just so low in our industry, and our job, just like you are practicing medicine, we are practicing the service of the doctors that we work with. I love it when Bob calls me like late at night. He's like geeking out about some new strategy that he's found, a new breadcrumb that he's found. His appetite is insatiable for new information that's going to help serve you better. So I think those things are really, really key to keep in mind. And the last thing that I'll say about this is, like, if I went to go have my knee replaced, I don't want to go to a surgeon who's like brand new in this or doesn't know what they're doing. No surgeon is going to cut open someone's knee and just go, let's just guess how to do this. No, there's precision in that medicine. They know, I'm going to make this incision here. I'm going to do that. I don't know, whatever the knee surgeon is going to do. We know what we're going to do for you. We've taken so many people through this. And so I just encourage you, if you do have that feeling that it's too good to be true, congratulations, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I would say too, Joe, they deserve too good to be true. They don't deserve the mundane throw you around the block relationship with their financial team. They deserve 100%. To have a one-on-one partner and a whole team of people striving for their goals with them. Their goals will happen much, much sooner if they do that.
And how often do you guys experience that, Aaron and Megan, as you guys are working with these people, you see, and I've said this ad nauseum, like most people experience like financial chaos in their life. It's one of the most significant reasons for divorce. It actually might be the top reason that causes divorce is financial struggle. And our job is to induce financial peace in their life. And there is a pathway to do that. So again, not to like overly pitch what Terra Firma does. I know we're educating people, but if you have not had your cash flow recovery conversation, you must do that. Join us in discovery. Allow us to see if we can serve you. And if we can, on the other side of that is a lot of financial peace and prosperity.
And I just want to add one thing to that I have heard you say a lot, Joe, and I've been saying it to my members, is what gets measured gets managed. And you know, people are used to this relationship where they meet once a year and then they kind of forget about it. Like, okay, it's just going. Right. Whereas tax planning is more year round, and we want to make sure that you are thriving in all areas. And so we're meeting once a month to measure not only the financial stuff, but everything in your life. And I'm just overflowing this week. And I know Megan feels the same, just having all these member meetings to kick off the year and do some of this. And they're blown away. They are just blown away. So it is like, it takes a new brain cell. Like, I'm not used to this type of relationship. But when you start measuring things on a more regular basis and you focus on them, you feel so excited and reinvigorated and just very purposeful in what you are building in your life. So that's what I'm most excited about that we get to do. We could talk all day about this. But number 3 is that we hear often is, I'll get audited if I start paying way less in taxes. Everyone thinks they're going to go through an audit. They think we're going to leave them high and dry, you know. So what do we say to people when they bring up the audit?
No, you're not.
Right.
Next.
Yeah, next.
I know. It is always like a head nod of like, I knew you were going to say that, and I'm ready to answer this question. Megan, what do you tell them?
So what a lot of our, docs don't realize when they first meet us is that when you do tax planning, you take steps to put precautions in place to limit your chance of getting audited. It decreases by some of the steps that we take. It will decrease your risk of audit down to a 0.4%. 0.4. That is almost nothing. And not only that, but what do we do as a team, as a unit? Well, one thing that we do as a team, as a unit, is we take that extra step to be prepared if there ever were to be this situation of an audit. Because the IRS is this 10,000-pound gorilla. And at the end of the day, we have this fear. Well, we don't, our unit doesn't, but our docs, they have this fear around the IRS. And what we want to do is to be prepared for those situations that might not ever happen. So we'll go the extra mile. We'll put the extra steps in to make sure that they're protected, to make sure they feel prepared, secure. But at the end of the day, what we do is we secure them with less risk. We put the steps in place to give less risk. So I know Bob has the most experience with setting this up. This is a process of structuring. This is a process of hand selecting strategies. Now, we don't come together, Bob, you and I and Aaron and Joe, and create these strategies out of thin air. These are strategies that are coming directly from the legal tax code. These are strategies that are being used by other wealthy individuals regularly, sometimes for decades. So I know a lot of our docs, they don't quite comprehend that because they've never investigated taxes. So there's so many layers to this and so many layers to this protection, but decreasing that audit risk is everything for our team.
Yeah. I love it. And a common theme, whether it's tax planning or planning for your life, it's like, begin with the end in mind. That's something we say all the time. And so Bob, when you and the tax team are putting these things in place, we're not just doing it now and then, we're kicking the can down the road and we'll deal with that later. It's like, no, we're always beginning with the end in mind. And if I were standing in front of an IRS agent with you, this is the documentation I have. This is the justification I have. So like you said, Megan, it actually decreases their risk, not increases it.
Yeah.
So
said perfectly.
Thank you. So 4 and 5 are two sides of the same coin. We hear one or the other. We will tell, that's why we run the numbers. We want to make sure that our membership makes financial sense for you, that not only what we help you save is going to cover your investment with us, but then it's still freeing up more money that you didn't have because you were sending it to the government now to invest in alternative assets to grow your wealth and get even more tax savings. So that's why we run those numbers. But even when we show people that, sometimes it's like, oh, okay. Well, I can probably do all this myself. So that's number 4. I can do this myself, or I'm going to go, research other options and ways that I can do this myself. So someone want to take that. What would we say to that?
Go for it.
Yeah. It's your money. You're welcome to do whatever you want.
I think ultimately this comes down, there's a few things that this triggers. Some of them are like the obvious ones, and then there's some deeper seated ones. And Bob mentioned this earlier. It really is about mindset. Some people they cannot wrap their head around paying other people to do things. They're like, I can do this myself. Therefore because I can, I will. And that doesn't have to be true for you. I keep going back to surgeons with this, but as a surgeon, you don't do everything. There's your job that you get paid to do is to come in and do that function. And everyone else does what they do. They're getting paid to do that. Mm-hmm. If you're answering your phones as a doctor, wrong choice, right? Your hourly earning ability is so much more significant than what the maximum hourly earning capacity of a receptionist is, for example. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that we're receptionists. We're just applying very specific knowledge to your scenario. We only do this for people where this makes logical sense to do this. Mm-hmm. So yes, you could go try to learn all this on your own. And in 20 years, when you get to the level that Bob's at, if you're doing this full time every day, mm-hmm. then you'll be able to achieve what we can achieve because the information is out there. Mm-hmm. It's just, is that worth it? Yeah. So I think the deeper mindset is as you're progressing in your career as a doctor, where else can you apply this? Yeah. How can I offload those kinds of things to invest in things that are candidly more important than money? That's why we begin so many of our relationships with the values conversation and really understanding what's important to you. That's where you should put your focus. Yeah. Rather than trying to save a few pennies here and there, a few dollars or a few $10,000 here or there, go invest that money into your relationships with your family or in your fitness and health. Yeah. Make a smart choice with this.
Right.
I think in my experience, most people, when they're in that type of situation, it's because the research they have done, those individuals or companies give generalized data and information. So like Dave Ramsey, there's a emergency physician out there years ago wrote a book called The White Coat Doctor, White Coat Investor. And they write things as what worked for me is going to work for everybody. And this is what you should do. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case. We are not robots. We all didn't come off the assembly line to be exactly the same. And we're just different colors because we chose a different paint. Mm-hmm. Right? Each one of us is different. It does not matter if you and your spouse are the same specialty. You're different. It does not matter if a colleague of yours in the same specialty, same town, they're cousins. So you're still from the same family. You guys are still different no matter what. Everybody is unique in their scenario. And I think one of the things that causes this complication of these two issues, number 4 and number 5, is that when people do research, for example, the white coat investor, he was an emergency physician, single, young, had the time to be able to do research, enjoyed the finance and the research, and found success at that time of the year 20 years ago when he started his process. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden that became, I'm going to write a book because all my colleagues, this is what you physicians do. You talk to each other. And when one colleague's doing one thing, you're going to do and mimic the same thing because you're a brother sisterhood. Yeah. Right. And that does not necessarily mean that is right for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I asked, because this came up in one of our calls. One of our prospective members had read that book, did some research. And I said, yeah, no, I've read his book. I know of what he talks about when he does. I said, how many hours does he still do emergency medicine? And I think their answer was like 4 hours a month or something like that. I don't know the answer. I don't care to know the answer, because at the end of the day, each of our members is not that individual. But if all he's doing is 4 hours, then he's become us,
Right.
giving advice. But what he's doing is giving advice of saying, here's what I did, do it. What we're doing is saying, hey, this is what the IRS communicates. This is what the legal system communicates. And based on your situation and what your goals are, what your values are, what you guys want to accomplish, here's how you can design using the legal system and the things that are available to you today and help you get to that point, which could lower your taxes. And then next year is going to be different. Mm-hmm. And we tell everybody, look, we're going to show you a side-by-side tax return analysis. These numbers are wrong. And the reason why they're wrong is because we're using previous numbers. And we can't guess what your numbers are going to be today because we're still in this year.
And can you guess those, Doc?
Right?
You know what I mean? Even our industry doesn't come along to the same conclusions that we have to be able to help you, doctor. So I guess that would be my first response is what makes you think that you are going to be able to go collect that information even more than this industry does and come to this place? It's probably not likely.
Yeah.
So
and one last thing, I think you're welcome to go do it yourself and have those mistakes and mistakes and those lessons and successes tend to be expensive, right? Some more than others. I've always been the type of person where I'd rather learn from somebody else's mistakes. And doesn't mean I'm not going to make mistakes. I just don't want to make those mistakes. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to make a mistake, I want to make a different mistake. So I'm not starting at the beginning. I'm starting somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. Right. And if somebody has the mentality of I'm going to do everything myself, again, you're completely welcome to do it. It's your money, but it's also your money to lose and it's also your money to gain. Right. And so we are of the attitude is, well, best of luck. If things change and you're interested later on, we are here. We'd love to take you through discovery at that time. But at the end of the day, we're not going to talk somebody into not doing it. This is all your stuff. Have at it. Right. But we're here when you want us.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's, I've done a lot of training of specifically salespeople in my career. And I have found that there's this almost like bifurcated pathway that salespeople have. And it's answering the question, if my prospect knew everything there was to know about working with us, would they make the decision to work with us? And that's an important, and a lot of salespeople, they don't believe that. If you knew everything I knew about how I'd serve you, you would choose not to work with us, right? That's one way. And if they're successful at selling, that's called a psychopath, right? They're just a psychopath and they can convince people to work with you. On the other side, and they need a lot of sales skills to close people. Mm-hmm. On the other side is people who so wholeheartedly believe in what they do, and they feel like if you knew everything about that I know about how we're going to serve you, it's a no-brainer decision. Mm-hmm. And those people don't need sales skills. They have conviction about what they do. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have. I believe you, Doc, yes, you could go do this on your own, or you could try to go do this on your own. But I think if you knew everything that we know about how we're going to serve you, as long as you're invited into membership, you would make that decision.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I'll just tack on there, these doctors, they work full-time as physicians. It's hard work being a physician, no matter what field you're in, whether you own your own practice or you're in the hospital. It is mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausting. So to say I can do this on my own, but do you really want to? You don't need to build a second career. Well, we could consider this like your fourth career, because not only are you a doctor, but you're a husband or a wife or a partner. You're a father, a mother, a brother, a sister. So why are you tacking on more work for yourself when you could have a team that will support you in doing that? I like to reflect onto real estate for this too, because a lot of our doctors love real estate. They build a really big, beautiful real estate portfolio, but it is so hands-on for them. And when they find out that there's another way, that they don't have to, be so hands-on. They don't have to go scrub the walls and rip up the carpet, but instead they can work within a fund structure and be able to be a part of something with other like-minded investors that's hands-off for them. They are elated to know that that opportunity is there. And that is exactly why we're here from the financial and tax perspective, is to make that leap for them and with them, and to do the legwork it takes to get there so they don't have to build that third or fourth career.
Yeah. Excellent points. So then the number 5 is the opposite side of that coin. So as we present, like, yeah, you're not just going to meet with us once a year like you're used to. You're going to meet with us monthly. You're going to meet with the tax team. You know, we're going to walk you step by step through this process. Well, then they think, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to get on a call. I don't know, you know. So I guess what's the time commitment? But first, like, what do we say? What do we say to that? I know, Joe, you put it in dollars often.
Well, it's the same, isn't it the same exact scenario? So someone who's willing to invest their time to go chase down strategies and deploy them on their own, they probably would earn more per hour by, you know, letting that go. Conversely, if we can help you save 100, 200, 300, $1 million, you know, 1,000, you know, $1 million a year, where else are you going to get that kind of return on your time? So I struggle with this one, because it's like, do the work that's necessary to get the results. So if we said it costs you an hour a month, let's just say, I'm just going to invent a number. Let's say it costs an hour a month, and we can help you save $250,000 a year. What's the hourly return on that? It's a lot. So take the time and invest in those areas where you can generate that kind of return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, go ahead.
Sorry, Erin. Okay. So I would think that when I hear I don't have time for that, what really strikes me is, yes, exactly what you said, Joe, you know, make time for what's important, but also what we have in membership, like we said earlier, it's custom built for you. So if you want to meet monthly and meet with the tax team for strategies, that's great. If you want to be very involved and you have new investment ideas that are coming to you every other week and you're not quite sure what to do with them, email them to our team. You have a coach that will work directly with you to support you in all of these areas of your financial world. You have someone that you can text, you can pick up the phone and leave a voicemail, or maybe even they'll pick up the phone. I know you're not used to hearing that, because on many occasions, your CPA, your accountant, your financial person, they don't get back to you. They don't pick up the phone, and they don't, you know, make themselves accessible. So at the end of the day, you can choose membership in that light of, you have the specific things you have to get done. Yes, it's a part of membership. It takes time and effort, but you don't have to over involve yourself or under involve yourself. It's custom fit to you. So keep that in mind for sure.
Awesome. Well, Doc, we hope we cleared up some of these misconceptions. And what I love to see here is, as we do more of these episodes and have more of these calls, more and more, we're having doctors who are like, oh yeah, I've listened to your podcast. Like, I'm ready to sign up. Like, that's what we want to do, so that you can kind of do your due diligence in advance. Like, I tell people, watch a few episodes, see how you feel about us, like, see what you learn. Like, we want this to be a win-win situation where you like the people who you're trusting with your financial life and your tax savings. And so I hope that this cleared up some of the things that you're probably thinking. Megan or I or some member of our team, our amazing team, would love to talk to you and clear up any other misconceptions you have and tell you what you're saving and how we can impact your world. So Megan, it was awesome to have you on the podcast. I'm excited to have you here moving forward. Doc, thanks for listening. Please share this with your friends if you found value. We can't wait to talk to you. And until next time, go be a wealth maverick.